Hi, Denise Gwen, reading aloud for you from my novel, His Christmas Eve Proposal, Book 3 of the Medicine Women of Alaska. Chapter 4. The next morning, Naomi felt at odds with herself and out of sorts. She'd specifically fled to Alaska to get away from emotional entanglements and the disastrous side effects of those emotional entanglements. And here she was, getting drawn into Dr. Rutherford's orbit and falling for his rugged charm. Nothing could come out of her relationship with him. She hadn't meant to find love all the way out here. Heck, it was the reason why she'd fled to Alaska in the first place, to avoid emotional entanglements. Terrible things happened when she let herself get sidetracked by emotional entanglements. Terrible things. Before she met Ricardo Velasquez, her career had been her prime objective. But that was sidelined when she fell in love with him and his big, sprawling family. Jackson, please, hang in there. No, Naomi, I can't. It hurts too much. It hurts so much. Surgery had once been her sole reason for living. She'd met Ricardo while interning for his dad, Dr. Hermano Velasquez. Dr. Velasquez had taken a shine to his talented cardiothoracic surgeon, and so one night he invited her to dinner at his magnificent home in Bel Air, where she'd met Ricardo. She loved Ricardo. She loved being seen on his arm at society events, late evenings out, dining under the stars, and rubbing elbows with celebrities. In the swirl of excitement, she'd lost her laser-edged focus. And during what ought to have been an otherwise routine surgery, a patient died under her hands. She'd never forgive herself. You don't deserve to be a surgeon. The tabloids, the tabloids. They were full of stories as to what caused her breakdown, but the truth had nothing to do with Ricardo and everything to do with her failure as a surgeon. On the night she abandoned Ricardo at the altar, she packed up her things and returned to her parents' home. She was still wearing the wedding dress when her father found her in her childhood bedroom, sitting on her bed, weeping. He sat down with her and told her just how deeply she'd disappointed him. You're running away from your problems, Naomi. A knock at her front door interrupted her ruminations. To her surprise, it was Dr. Drew Rutherford standing on her front stoop again. The smile faded from her lips when she saw his face. What's wrong? Thank God you're in your office. Paul's gone to get the truck. These two statements did not make sense. What's going on? She asked, growing alarmed at his agitation. A grisly mauling, Drew said grimly. The victim's lost too much blood to be moved, and he's still on the mountain. Oh, dear God. I ran over here to ask for your help. Paul and I usually handle these emergencies ourselves, but it's good to have another set of hands, she finished for him. Her heart swelled with affection at the look of relief on his face. That's right. Will you come? Of course I will. Let me grab my medical kit. As she ran to the back of her clinic, though, she fretted. I'm not a surgeon anymore. I can't do this. This went beyond her skill. They really didn't need her help. If she wanted to help, they'd let her. If she wanted to stay back and hide, they'd let her do that too. As she stepped outside her office and locked the door behind her, Drew whirled around and gazed at her. His brown eyes bored right through her, piercing her to the quick. "That was fast," he said. "I'm ready," she said. A pickup truck screeched to a stop in front of her clinic, and Drew flung open the front passenger door and gestured for her to climb up inside first. He grabbed her hand, and at the same moment that he half lifted, half catapulted her onto the bench seat beside Paul, he also put his hand on her bottom and pushed her up and into the air, and she flew into the cab and bumped right up against Paul, and then Drew climbed in after her and slammed the door shut. "Let's go." She made herself as small as possible, snuggled in between these two good men, and remembered another good man, her brother Jackson, and a wave of sorrow overwhelmed her. Jackson had been the reason she'd entered medical school. She didn't want what happened to him to happen to anyone else ever again. And now there was a man in pain up on the mountain and needing their expertise. She needed to sustain this man's life until a helicopter could be summoned. But she most assuredly would not take the lead in this matter. She'd taken the lead once before, and her brother had died. Poor Jackson had bled out, and it had been her fault.